Okay, so we will be doing this question called valid parenthesis. Given a string S containing just the characters, these are the characters that have been given, determine if the input string is valid. So we need to determine if the given string is valid or not, and these are the conditions that have been given that if the string is valid or not. So the first condition is open brackets must be closed by the same type of bracket. Okay, and second condition is open bracket must be closed in correct order. Okay, so yes, so the first condition that have been given is that if this is the opening bracket, then this should not be the closing bracket. This will only be the closing bracket to this, and the order should be maintained. By this they mean that let's say this will be invalid since the order is not correct, whereas this or either this is valid, right? Because the order is correct, right? So now, how do we find out whether a string is valid or not, right? So what we could do is, let's say we have been given us this string, right? We have been given this string. Let's only consider for this example. Let's only consider the first two opening and closing brackets. So initially, what we can do is when I will initially take the first character. Let's say I've taken this character. This is an opening character. If I get a closing character to this opening character, then I will forget it. I'll say, okay, this is done. That means this is valid, right? Even if the other part of the string is not valid, at least this is valid, right? Now I'll come to this opening bracket, this one. Then I'll say, okay, this is an opening bracket. I'll save it somewhere that okay, this is still open, right? This bracket is still open. Then I'll again go for this opening bracket and I'll say, okay, this is also open. Then what I will be doing is, since I'm getting a closing bracket and I can see that this particular thing is valid, right? So I'll simply delete this and I'll say, okay, at least this is valid. Then I'll see, then what I'll say, then I'll process this, and since this string is again valid, I'll delete it. So what basically I'm doing is, if I'm getting an opening, if I'm getting an opening bracket, right, I will be saving it somewhere, right? Now we will see that where will we save it, right? Then if we are getting a closing bracket, then what we are doing that the current we will check the current the latest opening bracket, right? So we will check the latest opening bracket, right? Or I should rather say the previous character, right? So yes, so let's see what we will do now. Okay, so firstly I'll write a condition that if my string is null or the length of string is 0, then I'll simply return true, right? uh, then I'll say length is equals to s dot length, n is equals to s dot length, and then I will loop in this particular string. Okay, so here we did talk that we want the latest opening bracket. Now, is there any data structure that when we put the data in it, the latest one is retrieved, the last one that is pushed in is retrieved first? And yes, we have it. It is stack, right? So we will be using a stack in this stack of character. Okay, right? Now what we will be doing is, let's store the current character that we are processing in this variable called curr, right? Current. And I've taken this variable. Now I have two conditions. Firstly, if my bracket is open, and secondly, if my bracket is closed, right? Uh, okay. So initially we will also be targeting a condition that my stack is empty. Okay, so let's see what we will do, right? When we have an opening bracket, how will we figure out whether it is an opening bracket? I'll say if current is equal this character, or my current is equal this character, or my current is equal this character, right? What if we do this, right? If I said that if my current is equal to these characters, then I will simply push them in stack. I will say stack dot push, and I did push them, right? But what if my first character, okay, let's talk about that later. And then let us suppose then that I have got a character, a closing character, right? So let's say this is my string so far. This is my string that has been input to my stack. Now what I will be doing is I will process this, right? This particular character, this closing bracket, right? Then what I will be saying is let me take out the top of the stack. So that is stack dot peak, right? So now I have the top of the stack and the current variable. Now I'll say if my top equal this, right, this particular opening bracket, and my current is equal this, right? That means for this particular bracket this is totally valid, right? For this particular bracket this is totally valid. But remember, we have in total three brackets, three different type of brackets, so we will have to write conditions for all of them. So I'll simply copy this and I'll say or, okay, sorry, I'll simply copy this and I'll say or, and I'll say or, right? If it is either of any of these brackets, let's say if this is this curly bracket, closing curly bracket, and this okay, the square bracket and closing square bracket, if it's either of them, then what I will be doing is stack dot pop. Now what this will do is this will simply remove my that particular variable from the stack. So this is what we were doing, right? If my particular string is valid, simply delete it, right? We never did put the latest value in here. We never did put the latest value. That means we already had this value, this particular character in our stack. As this came, we never did put this particular character in a string. What we rather did was we simply deleted the opening bracket. Now what if this is not the condition? What if the starting variable was this? What if the string started with this, right? I will simply push it in the stack. Now why we are doing this, I'll show you later, right? uh, again, initially, what if this is my the first character? Then when I will go for stack dot peak, it will throw an error. So I will have to do this, that if my stack dot is empty, or that is if my stack is empty, then push the character in the stack, okay? And at the end I will be checking if my stack is empty. So if my stack is empty, that means this string is valid, because at the end all of these, the whole string is deleted, right? If this is valid, at the end the whole string is deleted, so my stack has to be empty. But if the stack is not empty, that is, let's say if this is my string, right? So at the end of the this processing, only this particular character will be left in string, right? Which would give me that stack is not empty, so it should return false. Okay, so let's try and run this. Let's submit it. Okay, so this is the answer. Thank you.